G'day, I'm Dr. Philip Button, a food microbiologist at the Food Microbiology Academy. What I want to do here is go through a bit of a career profile of myself. After my last blog post was actually on the career profile of somebody else, and what I did in that blog post was start off with a bit about microbiology in general, then talking about the different areas of food microbiology. Then I did a career profile on a food auditor who is currently working in Taipei. So what I wanted to do this time is answer those same questions myself. So I've got my computer here with all the questions set out there, and I just basically want to go through them and let you know from my perspective, how did I get to where I am. So the first thing I've got written down is, what am I and how did I get here? So one of my earlier blog posts was actually asking the question, what's a food microbiologist? Are they a microbiologist who is specialised in food microbiology, or are they a food scientist who has specialised in food microbiology? And I'm sure different people have different career paths and different ways of getting here, but in my case, I've struggled with that aspect, but I actually consider myself a food scientist who is specialised in food microbiology. So and how do I come to that conclusion? I just feel I know more about food science. I feel more comfortable in that area. I've done more work in that area than in general microbiology. So I'm basically a food scientist who has specialised in food microbiology, even though I haven't done any formal training in food science. So that takes me onto the first question. What qualifications have I gotten from where? So I actually started off at Deakin University, where I started doing a general major in biology. Then I transferred to James Cook University, where I finished off my undergraduate degree, graduating with a Bachelor of Science. And the microbiology program there was very clinical focused, and especially in the veterinary area, because of the nature of back in the late 1990s, what they actually taught up at James Cook University. So they had a graduate veterinary school, and so a lot of the subjects were taught by academic veterinarians, including microbiology. So after that, in my third year, my best subject was food microbiology. So I decided to pursue that in my honours year at the University of Ballarat. So I graduated there with a Bachelor of Applied Science honours, and following that I did a research Master of Science degree from La Trobe University. Then I did my PhD at the University of Melbourne, but for the most part I was based at CSIRO, so the CSIRO, which is the prominent or foremost government research organisation in Australia. So what's my present position and where? So at the moment I'm an independent food microbiologist, an independent scientist operating on a freelance basis, doing at the moment doing primarily consulting work, but also academic support, so a bit of tutoring and various other professional writing gigs as well, and that sort of thing. So that's basically what I am, operating my own independent organisation called the Food Microbiology Academy. How would you describe your career in a nutshell? So pretty unorthodox, I suppose, but well, whose career is orthodox or continues in a straight trajectory. So as I already mentioned, I started off as a microbiologist and hadn't even considered food microbiology as something I might want to follow. But I kind of fell into it in third year after food microbiology was my best subject, and really continued on from there. But one of the things I've always been keen to do is to diversify and get a lot of skills out of my belt. So my PhD was probably more in biochemistry, entomology, protein chemistry, that sort of thing, and my postdoc was very much in physical chemistry, material science. Before I had another research position also at RMIT in food composition databases and e-commerce, innovative retailing, and those sorts of things. So my career, pretty diverse, or very diverse really, but I just can't seem to get away from food microbiology. It's, as much as I look at other areas, look at other things, nothing else just brings me that joy and excitement, and I'm just drawn back to food microbiology. Describe what you do on a day-to-day basis. So as an independent freelance consultant, what I do is a diversity of things, really, diversity of activities on a day-to-day basis. So there's various projects that I've got on the go. So I'm having conversations either by email or WhatsApp or video call with my clients, looking at their work, looking at their projects and working on those. But I'm also applying for new projects that have become available. Or in addition to that, I'm writing project proposals for more substantial works, which might actually constitute research, as well as writing original research papers as well. So doing a whole range of different things. And in addition to that, there's areas which you might call housekeeping or administration. So I maintain a blog as well, and keep up with my Facebook business page and Instagram and those sorts of things. So there's various administration as well as the financial aspects. Keeping those in order, keeping those ticking over, like the record keeping and so on, and those sorts of things. But what I just love is poring over the scientific literature and finding some new fact, new piece of information that I didn't know that's going to help my clients. That's one of the most exciting things for me, and getting paid to do that is just fabulous, really. Being able to build my knowledge is something I just love doing. How do you gain most satisfaction in your food microbiology career? So at the moment, because I'm primarily a consultant in food safety, food spoilage, food preservation, shelf life extension, those sorts of areas, the area that I would gain most satisfaction in is helping my clients extend their shelf life, really. So being able to work out what are the factors that's limiting their shelf life, what are the factors, what are the microorganisms, then looking at different ways that they could address those particular issues, and having them come up with solutions to achieve the shelf life that they want. So that's the thing which really gives me the most satisfaction, and really drives me. And it's just exciting to look up different ways of of preserving food and controlling microorganisms, and being able to suggest those to my clients. So, relating the basic academic, scholarly, theoretical research that's published in the scientific literature to the applied aspects of the food industry, and what my clients actually want, and being able to solve their problems, come up with solutions which have them achieve what they want to achieve in terms of certain length of shelf life, which enables them to reach distant markets or have a particular formulation, those sorts of things. What can you foresee as big challenges in your particular area of food microbiology? So, one of the big trends that's been around for a few years and is continuing to gain traction is the whole all natural aspect of food. So minimal processing and retaining freshness, retaining taste, retaining all of the natural sensory aspects of food, while of course having a long shelf life, or at least a shelf life that's not short, and having the food safe as well. So that's one of the biggest challenges I see in my area, continuing to do that, continuing to satisfy the food manufacturers, which are in turn trying to come up with ways to satisfy the consumers of the world, which have particular interests, which turn into food trends. So there's a whole range of different ways to address those. So, of course, food preservation traditionally has been done by heating, but with non-thermal processing, modified atmosphere packaging, various so-called chemical preservatives, but are natural. So I'm talking about things like essential oils and natural antimicrobials out of bacteria. So things like bacteriocins like niacin, for example. Those sorts of natural approaches, are really what will be in demand for food in the future, with and really sit well with consumers. And the last question is some advice. So, what advice might I have about a career in food microbiology, or somebody that's interested in the area but not so sure how to go about it? So, I guess what I would say is, as early as possible, have a really good idea on what you want to do, and take steps to achieve it. And that probably means building your professional network, doing a lot of reading, trying to do think of, and I've mentioned unorthodox before, so that's certainly a good approach. Try and come up with unorthodox ways to gain skills, and expose yourself to professionals in your field, and those sorts of things. So I'm sure that's advice for many different areas of science, really. But I just feel in food microbiology, if you're able to do that, build your network, build your knowledge, come up with different ways of doing things and thinking, then you'll be well on your way to consolidating yourself as establishing yourself as a food microbiologist through good training, good networks, learning things from people, and generally building your reputation in the field. So that's a bit from me about my career and how I see food microbiology. And it's just such just such an exciting area. There's so many areas to get into. Food quality and spoilage, food safety, gut health and probiotics. All of those areas are not areas that are dying off in any way whatsoever. There's foodborne diseases is still so prominent, and results in such an economic impact, as well as suffering to people. Then food spoilage is such a big area. There is so much economic impact from that to the food industry, of losses of food. And then probiotics, gut health, fermented foods, those natural ways are things that are so popular nowadays. And it's just so interesting that those things date back to antiquity. Thousands of years, people have been interested in fermented foods, and yet now, with so many people, wanting to focus on health and wellness and well-being and all natural approaches to food, they're just so important, and such a great way of getting so many nutrients, getting so many so many aspects that you can use to for the betterment of your health. So yeah, I just love food microbiology and love being a food microbiologist, and don't have any hesitation whatsoever in recommending a career in food microbiology. So if you've got any questions about careers in microbiology, food science, food microbiology, by all means, let me know. Send me an email, or otherwise just communicate with me, because I'd love to share with you. Thanks very much for listening, and see you around. Bye.